guys, how's it going? Today I want to show you how to clean and sharpen your gardening tools, and I've got several different examples right here. I've got my loppers, a pair of snips, and my hand pruners, and I'll be showing you how to clean up the blades, remove rust, how to oil the mechanism, and then also how to sharpen all the blades. And then over here I've got my flat step shovel, which this is what I use to edge my grass, and a hand trowel that needs some serious TLC. Now, I do recommend that you would get this done in the late fall, but let's be realistic, that doesn't always happen. So anytime you can get this done is just great. So let's just jump right into the steps. Let's start with the step edger tool first. I'm going to dunk it in some water and use a brush to scrub off any big chunks of dirt so that I'm starting with as clean a tool as possible. And this is what I do with pretty much every tool to begin with. I clean off the blade and the handle as well, then dry it off. Then I use scrubbing bubbles to spray down just the blade, and this will help to soften sap and helps to remove rust. After a few minutes, I use an SOS steel wool scrubbing pad to buff up the metal and remove as much debris as I can from the blade. Then I dunk it again in water and dry it off. Now I want to sharpen the edge of the blade, and I'm using a 6-inch mill file to do this, and this will help the blade cut through roots and soil really easily. You want to find the beveled edge first and hold the file at a 45-degree angle and make quick motions away from the blade all along the edge. Our last step is to apply a light layer of vegetable oil over the blade to help keep rust away. Now, if you have a tool with a wood handle like this one does, you want to feel the wood to see if it's nice and smooth. And if it's not, take a piece of sandpaper and lightly sand the handle to where it feels really nice in your hand, nice and smooth. The handle on this tool feels pretty good, so I'm going to skip that step. But I am going to apply a layer of linseed oil with a rag to help extend the life of the wood by protecting and sealing it. Next, I'm going to work on this hand trowel, and you can tell by the looks of it that this is one of the most used tools in my garden. It planted well over 1,000 4-inch plants last year in my garden alone. I'll be going through the same exact process with this one as I did with the edger tool. I clean all the excess soil off the blade and handle, dry it, then spray it down with scrubbing bubbles and let it sit for a few minutes. I am going to use a little stainless wire brush to help remove the bigger pieces of finish and debris, and we'll follow up with my SOS steel wool pad. You can spend as much time on this as you want, but once you're happy with how it looks, just rinse it off with water, dry it, and then proceed with sharpening it the same way as the edger, with the 6-inch mill file and then a light layer of vegetable oil. This tool also has a wood handle, so I applied linseed oil to finish it up. Moving on to the hand pruners, I'm skipping the first cleaning step because these don't have a bunch of soil on them. So I'll spray them down with the scrubbing bubbles, and after a few minutes, I'll use the wire brush to get most of the debris off. I like to use this type of brush for these pruners because they make it really easy to get into all the tight spots. Then I follow up with the steel wool pad to buff up the metal, and then wash them off with water and dry them thoroughly. To sharpen these, I'm using a carbide file. These are the easiest, in my opinion, to use for smaller blades like this one. You just cradle the pruners in your hand and hold the file at an angle on the beveled edge of the pruner and move them across the blade in a sweeping motion a few times, checking the blade for sharpness as you go. When they feel nice and sharp, flip the blade over and check to see if there's a little burr on the back side of the blade, which is just a little bump that's created by the sharpening. If there is one, use the file and sweep it across the burr a couple times to remove it. The last step is to apply a little 3-in-1 oil to the mechanism of the pruners. Open and close the pruners several times to help spread that oil throughout the mechanism, and they feel just as good as new. I cleaned up and sharpened the snips next and did exactly the same thing with these as I did with my hand pruners. Super easy. And last, I'm going to tackle the loppers, which are in kind of a bad way. They were left out one too many times last year. I'm going to treat these the same way, except I'm going to take these apart to get them as clean as possible. You can see a lot of rust made it to the inside, and I want to get rid of as much of that as possible. I sprayed them down with scrubbing bubbles and let them sit for a few minutes, then went after them with the wire brush and steel wool pad. Because these were so far gone, I repeated this step several times. Then I put them back together and sharpened them using the carbide file in the same way that I did with my hand pruners. These took a little bit more filing though, because there were several notches in the blade that I had to file out. When that was done, I applied a little 3-in-1 oil to the joints, and they're done. So that's pretty much it, you guys. I hope this video was helpful, just seeing the steps that I take to get my tools back in really nice working order. And this is something that should be done once a year at least, unless you're using your tools a whole lot. I use mine a lot, and I could probably do this twice a year. I don't always do that, but it's just so nice to use tools that are sharp and just clean and ready to go. It makes the job a lot easier. Now, you may have heard that you need to disinfect your pruners when you're pruning something out in the garden, and that is true in some cases. It's different than the cleaning that we did today. If you are pruning something, a tree or a shrub that's diseased, and you don't want to spread the disease anywhere, you do need to make sure to clean your pruners in between each cut. And you can just use like a Lysol disinfectant spray or Lysol disinfecting wipes in between each cut. It's just a really quick thing to keep your pruners clean and not spreading disease everywhere. When you guys get ready to tackle this project, I'd love to see before and after pictures. It's satisfying as a gardener to see tools be brought back to life. So make sure to take a before picture, after picture, and make sure to tag me in them so that I can see what you guys have been up to. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.